Hey everybody, Takai Senpai here, and what a great ending. I'm so excited to talk to you guys about the first show that I'm going to speak on, A through Z anime. Now, I'm going to lead it off with the synopsis. We're actually going to be going from that to my ideas and my thoughts and opinion on episode 1. We're going to see how the story progresses, and then we're just going to give it an overall thought of how the show turned out and how was the ending really, which you can tell by my reaction. I'm super excited to tell you how it ended. Since I'm getting this video out late, it was because I just finished the last episode of the show we're going to talk about today, which is 0091. Now, to get this started, I'm going to read you guys the synopsis so then you can get an idea of what I read and what I went into thinking about what it was that they described that this story was. Melanie Hoffman, a beautiful cyborg spy with the codename 0091, lives in an alternate world where the Cold War never ended, continuously ongoing for 140 years. The world is split into two factions, the West and the East Bloc. A masquerade of peace between the two is slowly dissipated as the conflict occurs. Through politics, the two factions battle over supremacy over technology to threats of a nuclear war. Melanie Hoffman, teaming up with 3 other agents, gets surrounded by deception, chaos, and rivalry as she carries out missions assigned by her superiors. Now, through that synopsis, I really think that it sounds like they're trying to go for a realistic setting. The Cold War never ended. We're just battling it out, afraid of the other side of a nuclear war, which actually seems pretty realistic. If we did continue the Cold War, we would be split into 2 sides. Either there would be people that don't want to choose sides, but they either have to make sure nothing happens to them, or they were forced to by whether it be them offering something or just forcefully saying you have to choose a side, if not we're invading your country or state or whatever, and we're taking your resources because we need it or we want it. It also goes into the whole spies issue, which it sounds believable, where the spies go through deception, chaos. They're giving orders that they really don't understand or they don't want to do, but they have to go through as a spy and not show any emotion and do what they have to, while they could understand that they're either being lied to or they're dealing with things. Just a normal spy show that you would understand that has some conflicts within their own organization. The only part I'm afraid of is the whole idea of a beautiful cyborg lady, because that immediately means, oh, that they're going for this realistic setting, but at the same time they throw in these particular set of words, beautiful spy lady, whatever, cyborg actually, where it seems like there's going to be some fan service, and it's alright to have, but to put it that clearly in the synopsis kind of makes me fearful, since this is supposed to be an action-oriented mecha anime. So since it doesn't say that's the kind of genre it is, I'm hoping that it's more to give more of the scenes of what spies go through to get the information that they want, and not more of a fan servicey thing. Mostly because it seems like they put those words in it in particular, but you would never know until watching the first episode, which is what we're gonna get into next. Now, the first episode was actually pretty interesting in a standpoint of seeing what's coming up next and what to expect out of the anime. 0091 actually started off really shady, which was a sex scene with her and this other spy, and then a big quick confrontation just to show, which got me kind of fearful, but I did understand the point to show the whole spy part of it, which is you can sleep with your enemy no matter what you need to do, and then you get your information and then you delete him pretty quick, which was very understandable. There were a lot more other sex scenes, whether it be homosexual, gay, straight. There were a couple more sex scenes to, I guess, emphasize that point in being a spy, but the kind of art style that the show went through was very interesting, because other than the characters themselves, which other than the girls, the main trio that we started off with, the other characters actually came out to be more of a cartoonish looking kind of characters with these big buggy eyes. Some, I guess, people that you would deem very important seem to have just normal looking eyes, but for the main antagonist and people like that, they seem to have buggy eyes. There was an explanation for one of the sideboards of why they had those eyes, which were for a camera, but it seemed like the majority of antagonists had them, which if they were just purely human, I wouldn't really understand unless it was just they felt like putting their eyes like that. On the other side, it actually came about to be some very funny kinds of cartoon drawings, which were, I'll show you in a little picture, which was very funny, that they drew this enemy's face very goofy and stupid, and it was nice to see that. It made me laugh. But when it comes to the actual combat itself, it was a different kind of aspect that I haven't really seen before, which were the gunshots looked like, even to the head, that they would get up because it looks so cartoonish, but then they threw in some blood here and there and it didn't really match as well. So every gun battle didn't really seem to match if they threw in the blood, it was actually very occasional that you would see blood and the gunshots at the same time. It would only be during very dramatic scenes or scenes that were put out to emphasize what was happening. Going along with the topic of gunfighting, there were actually very little action scenes, hand-to-hand combat, but what I have to say is the hand-to-hand combat was actually really good, and surprisingly I loved it. I loved watching them fight. It was very obviously, she's a cyborg, so some things are impossible where she can dodge bullets, she's running by bullets, never hits her. But I guess the explanation that she's a cyborg kind of puts it into perspective that it should be okay. But the hand-to-hand fighting in general was actually pretty good, but I wish there was more of it because of how good it was compared to all the other things. I also want to say that the scenery and the music behind things that were happening were actually a big highlight of the show. I loved when they put in that saxophone, nice chill music, trying to bring out the mood while showing some beautiful scenery that I really have to say. Those two things really stood out to me during the progression of this show. Those were two things that I actually really liked. The music behind it, being able to chill and sit back and listen and see what was happening. But they really usually only happen during scenery scenes, or if something like very slow and boring was happening, that's when they throw those things in. So I just wanted to get those quick out of the way so then we can move on to the next topic. But the show just went on to a mission that was being held where there was someone that they needed the intelligence, and then after the intelligence was taken, they were murdered and everything was covered up, just like a normal spy scene. That actually puts me into the mindset of, I'm afraid that these 12 episodes that are going to come by, are they all going to be like this, where they just have this one mission, they show the whole detrimental side, the good side, the smart side of how they go about the mission, and then they complete the mission at the end and it ends, which is okay if it's a long going series where you can have multiple of that and the story never really changes and they have something in the back. But I am kind of fearful of that if that just turns into what these 12 episodes are about, because then most likely I'll get pretty tired of it quickly and I wouldn't be able to finish the series if that's all it is going to be at the end. Episode up until a certain point actually has been missions. And they named the episodes like that, mission 1, mission 2. For the opening song, it's decent, it's alright, not the greatest thing, and it's kind of boring, so I'm pretty sure that in a few episodes I'll start to skip through. The ending is actually a lot better than the opening. Not the greatest thing in the world, but I'd rather listen to that and I don't mind it. When it comes to the story part of it so far, it seems like every episode is a different mission. Something new comes, and just a normal thing where, something new comes, it's time for you to get intelligence and time for you to kill or eliminate the target. Then they really show the side of her being a spy, but progressing through the story, it does seem like there is something that they're trying to develop, but it just started halfway through, where something slowly at the end of let's say one episode you see that she's acting kind of weird, and then they start progressing it. And it seems like going to the end, there is going to be a change in the story where there is something bigger happening, and the episodes will start connecting way more often. Finally, we get to the ending, and I have to admit, there was a big turn of events of the ending. The ending of this anime was actually pretty good, and with the last 2 to 3 episodes, I was actually completely hooked on what was going on. Compared to the beginning, which was slow, just mission based, nothing really happened, but I can tell right when there was this little thing off with something that was happening, it got me kind of curious, and it did develop into a pretty good story. And there was such a big turn of events at the end that it actually makes you reflect back to midway of the series and say, wow, like, I wouldn't have expected that to happen. And for the ending to do that, compared to where I thought at the beginning this series was going to lead to, it was given a like 6.3 rating. But with the ending, I'm not gonna give it a rating because that's not what this channel is gonna be for. But to recommend it to other people, this is how I would recommend it to you guys. The beginning is very slow, but if you're looking for something that you don't mind watching, and it's something that you're just looking for something to watch, I actually would recommend this. But I would tell you guys ahead of time that just like hold on for the beginning, because the beginning is very slow, and the hints to a bigger story comes in very subtly, and even I was struggling to continue watching. At one point I was gonna tell you guys that I can't watch this anymore, it's boring, it's mission based. But to finish the series, I'm really glad I did, because of how good the ending was, and I guess because of how, like, not bad, but how similar and how boring the beginning was. To have this turn of events at the end, I would highly recommend you to go through that trip of, it goes from down all the way up, and it was actually a pretty good story. I actually enjoyed the ending. Like I said, if you're someone that can hold on to the beginning, like first 4, 5, I think 4 episodes, if you can hold on through those and make it after that, then I think you guys might actually enjoy it. Not the greatest show, not the greatest ending, but the way they progress the story, I have to give them a good rating for that one. So I recommend you check out 0091 just for the hell of it. And that was for today's A through Z anime. Hopefully next time I'll have 2 instead of just 1, because of how late this one is coming out to be. But thank you guys for watching. Remember, all links in the description. Thank you again. I hope you guys tune in for the next video. Hit that subscribe button if you really liked today's video. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.